Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really unpacking a pretty dense stack of sources, and it's all focused on, well, one of the most watched and sometimes controversial projects out there, the Pi network.
Definitely controversial, definitely watched.
Yeah, and for anyone just catching up, this platform, it was launched by some Stanford PhDs, I think, back in 2019. The whole idea was simple but pretty powerful.
Hmm.
Make crypto mining eco-friendly and accessible, like right on your phone.
Right. The mobile mining concept was key.
Exactly. But our sources today, they're not really looking back. They're zeroed in on right now, analyzing this crucial transition phase, moving from that closed test environment to hopefully a fully functional public mainnet.
A huge step, maybe the biggest step they'll take.
So our mission here is to dig into the data, analyze what's happening, and try to figure out, is this shifting? Is it moving from just a massive experiment to something more foundational, like real decentralized infrastructure?
A valid question.
Yeah.
And the context is critical.
And we have to start with the number that just jumps out from all the analysis, kind of frames everything else. Pi Network has already migrated over 12 million users successfully onto its mainnet.
Yeah, let that sink in. 12 million. That's scale.
Yeah,
It's just, well, it's genuinely unprecedented in the crypto world before a full open launch.
it really is. Which brings up the immediate question, how? How do you even manage that? 12 million users, all their potential tokens. How do you handle that without causing, total chaos or inflation?
That's the $1,000,000 or maybe $1 billion question. It's a massive logistical and economic puzzle. And the analysis we looked at shows they've been incredibly strategic, maybe even cautious about circulation.
Okay, so what does that strategy look like? How are they managing this initial potential flood of supply? It feels like transferring that many tokens should just tank the value, right?
You'd think so. But the details matter. So the total number of tokens moved to the mainnet is around 7.4 billion PI, a big number.
7.4 billion.
Yeah. But, and this is the crucial part, only about 2.2 billion of that is actually, circulating, freely available right now.
Only 2.2 out of 7.4, so where's the rest?
Locked up. The remaining 5.2 billion PI is under user-defined lockup periods. This wasn't an accident. It's a core part of their design. People chose to lock up tokens for potentially higher mining rates later.
Ah, so users opted into locking their tokens.
Correct. And this acts as a mechanism to phase the supply release. It delays the sell pressure from those 5 billion tokens. The idea is clearly to try and build value, build utility before all that supply hits the market. It's about long-term stability over short-term access.
Okay, I see the logic in preventing that immediate inflation crash. But isn't there a counter-argument? Locking up 5.2 billion PI, sure, it prevents a dump now, but doesn't that raise questions about, liquidity, or even worse, a huge supply shock later when those lockups end?
That's absolutely the critical point. It's the tightrope walk, isn't it? They're hedging against short-term speculation, hoping the long game pays off. If, and it's a big if, they build enough real-world use cases in the meantime, the market might absorb those unlocks later.
So the success of that supply strategy really hinges on the tech and the ecosystem actually working.
Exactly. It all comes back to the underlying technology and whether people actually use it.
All right, then let's get into that tech. Migrating 12 million users. That needs some serious horsepower underneath. The sources flagged two big technical steps. First, releasing an official Linux node version. Why is that a big deal? Moving beyond just Windows and Mac.
It sounds a bit technical, maybe minor, but it's a real signal of maturity, I think. Getting rid of OS restrictions means potentially higher stability and better reliability for the nodes running the network. That's crucial at scale.
Okay, stability makes sense.
But maybe more importantly, it standardizes things. Partners, institutions, even exchanges, they often prefer or run on Linux. So having an official Linux node makes it easier for them to integrate, to participate. It lowers friction for, let's say, more serious players.
Gotcha. Less friction for partners, but the analysis really emphasized the next step as the big one. The upgrade from version 19 to Protocol 23. What's baked into this protocol upgrade?
Protocol 23 is foundational. It's built on significant improvements coming from Stellar, which is already seen as a pretty solid enterprise-ready blockchain. This upgrade is tackling scalability head-on. It promises much higher transaction throughput. You need that if you're aiming for tens of millions of active users.
Scalability is always the challenge.
Always. But maybe the most revolutionary piece here, the thing with huge long-term potential, is the decentralized KYC.
Decentralized KYC, how does that work? Normally KYC is very centralized.
Right. Instead of Pi's core team or some third-party company being the sole gatekeeper for identity verification, they're building KYC authority into the blockchain itself. It allows for third-party validators under community oversight to handle verification.
Now, that's interesting, especially when you bring back the scale. You mentioned they already have over 14.8 million verified accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nearly 15 million verified accounts. And if they can manage that verification process in a decentralized, community-driven way, we need to start thinking about Pi not just as a crypto coin, but potentially as like the world's largest decentralized identity layer.
A decentralized identity layer for 15 million people.
Think about it. A trusted digital identity backbone. That could be incredibly valuable for compliant tokenized assets, maybe secure voting, verified online interactions, all sorts of things. And they have this trust graph system too, mapping user connections and reliability, which sort of bolsters that identity angle.
Okay, that definitely reframes things. If the play is leveraging that identity layer for mass adoption, then you need institutional buy-in compliance. Which brings us to that partnership mentioned in the sources, Stellar Development Foundation working with the ERC 3643 Association. This feels like the bridge to institutional finance.
It absolutely is. ERC 3643. You need to understand the standard. It's essentially regulatory tech built into the token itself. It lets you create what they call permission tokens.
Permissioned tokens, meaning?
Meaning the token has rules embedded in it. Think of it like a digital passport attached to the asset. The built-in logic makes sure only verified users, people who've passed the right KYC/AML checks, can actually hold or trade that specific tokenized asset.
So compliance is baked right in.
Precisely. And that's what institutions need to see. It opens the door for Pi to potentially tokenize things like stocks, bonds, real estate, real-world assets, or RWA, while staying compliant with global regulations, like SEC rules in the U.S. Adopting ERC 3643 is a clear signal they're building for, the future of regulated finance, not just the Wild West crypto days.
And to get developers actually building things with this, using these compliant assets, you need to make it easy for them.
That's where PiOS comes in, right? The Pi operating system.
That's the idea. PiOS is meant to be a standardized toolkit for developers. It offers unified APIs for the core stuff, identity checks, handling payments, storing data securely. Instead of every dApp developer figuring this out from scratch, PiOS provides the building blocks. It should speed things up and ensure things work together across the ecosystem.
Makes sense. Lower the barrier to entry.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is. They launched the Pi Network Ventures Fund. It's nearly $100 million, earmarked specifically to fund and support developers building useful dApps on Pi. They need to show those 12 million migrated users are there for more than just holding tokens. They need actual usage, actual transactions.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Let's look at market signals. With a project this big, what the big holders, the whales, are doing, that could tell you something. What did the analysis show about the Pi whale story? Yeah, the whale analysis was fascinating. It tracked the biggest known holder. And this whale, or entity, hasn't just bought a lot. They've been systematically, relentlessly accumulating. We're talking 371 million PI.
371 million. Wow. What's the estimated value on that?
Rough estimates put it around $128 million, give or take market fluctuations. But it's the pattern that's interesting. It's not speculative trading. They buy consistently, even when the price dips. And then, this is key, they systematically withdraw the PI from exchanges into cold storage for holding.
So buying and holding, not trading, like a long-term investment strategy.
Exactly. It signals potentially very deep long-term confidence. Could be institutional, could be strategic, high net worth, who knows? But that behavior taking supply off the market for the long haul is generally seen as a bullish signal.
Interesting. Okay. Connecting that back to the everyday user again. For utility, transaction costs matter a lot. How does Pi handle fees if they're aiming for mass adoption, potentially billions of small transactions?
They've designed it to be very flexible, kind of like Bitcoin's fee market, but aiming for much lower costs generally. Fees are voluntary and adjust based on how busy the network is. The sources noted that during quiet times, standard transaction fees can be incredibly low, sometimes just 0.01 PI.
0.01 PI, so basically negligible for small payments.
That seems to be the goal. If you want people using it for daily coffee, micropayments online, whatever, fees have to be minimal.
Okay, so pulling this all together, the migration success is undeniable. The tech upgrades like Protocol 23, the move towards compliance with ERC 3643, it's a compelling story. But, no project exists in a vacuum. There's competition. The analysis highlighted Remitix, or RTX, as a potentially serious competitor, specifically in that decentralized payment space, PayFi How does Pi compare there?
Yeah, Remitix is a good example of a focused competitor. They represent a real challenge because they aren't trying to be everything Pi is. They're laser-focused on efficient payments. They raised significant cash, over $25.3 million in pre-sale, apparently. And their whole pitch is super fast, super cheap international money transfers. They're boasting fees as low as 0.1%.
0.1% is aggressive.
And crucially, they offer easy crypto-to-fiat off-ramps in over 30 countries. That's a big deal for usability.
So Remitix offers specialized efficiency, maybe faster execution in that one payment niche, while Pi is building this broader thing, currency, platform, identity layer. Is Pi trying to do too much?
That's the strategic question, isn't it? Can Pi's massive user base, that network effect of 12 million plus potential users, win out against a competitor's pure operational speed and low fees in one area? Pi's advantage is its built-in audience. If you're a merchant, tapping into 12 million verified potential customers instantly is powerful. More powerful, maybe, than slightly lower fees. But Pi absolutely needs to deliver smooth fiat integration and that operational simplicity soon to keep competitors like Remitix at bay.
Makes sense. The network effect is their moat, but it needs reinforcement.
Right. And just quickly on governance, before we wrap up with risks, the tokenomics seem designed to support that community aspect. Max supply is capped at 100 billion PI. And a huge chunk, 65%, is allocated for community mining rewards over time. That structure helps keep control decentralized, hopefully preventing a few huge whales from dominating the network's future direction.
Okay, good context. So finally looking ahead, as Pi pushes towards this full public mainnet opening, what are the key risks? The main things you, the listener, should keep an eye on.
I think there are three really critical ones, unique to Pi's situation. First, maybe the biggest is managing that huge user base's expectations and behavior, shifting the mindset, moving people from I click a button for free tokens to these tokens have real value because I can use them for things. That requires proving utility, not just speculation.
Utility challenge. Got it.
Second, the competition we just talked about. Competitors like Remitix might be faster to market in key financial niches. Pi needs to execute well and quickly.
Time to market pressure. Okay.
And third, the sheer technical and economic challenge of scale. Can the tech really handle tens of millions of active users smoothly? And can they manage the token's value when that massive 5.2 billion locked supply eventually starts becoming available? It's a huge balancing act.
It really is. So what we've seen today, it feels like a genuine transformation underway. Pi Network seems to be trying to shift its whole identity. The migration of 12 million users is done, the focus on compliant assets with ERC 3643, the big tech upgrades like Protocol 23. It signals a serious strategic push to be more than just a mobile mining app. They seem to be building towards a comprehensive blockchain ecosystem for mass adoption.
It's definitely a pivot towards becoming a full-fledged ecosystem, yes. And if we circle back to where we started, that scale, the 14.8 million verified accounts, the decentralized KYC, that unique trust graph, maybe a final thought for you to really chew on is this. Considering all that, plus the new focus on compliant assets, is Pi Network's biggest long-term value proposition maybe not just the currency itself, but potentially becoming the world's largest decentralized, verified digital identity layer?
An identity layer for the future of tokenized finance, built on mobile adoption.
Exactly. That potential, that unique combination of scale, verification, and compliance, that's something really distinct in the market, something to keep thinking about as this unfolds.